This is Dan Max at EXP Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your live market recap for Monday, January 23rd, 2023. Interesting day. Hopefully people are surviving, doing their best to minimize losses, maximize gains, do whatever they have to do to survive. Ultimately, this game is a survival game. You cannot be right all the time, as we tell people, and it just kind of is what it is. Trading is a probability-based game. So, anyway, let's give it a few minutes, get the mic check, make sure people are getting in here, and then I'm going to record it. If you're watching this after the fact, go to around the 7.5 minute mark. That's when the live is, and I'll start recording it, and you can watch the junior version. But just kind of is what it is. So, open to questions for the next couple of minutes. I know there's a few newer folks, but would love to get a mic check, 1 2 1 2, and then kind of go from there. So hopefully people are surviving. This is not easy trading. We talked about the chop fest that was coming, so it just kind of is what it is, right? I think a lot of people are expecting what's the best way to describe it? Straight line moves all the time. And we've said going into earnings, choppiness, up, down. Is it going to go straight up? Going to go straight down? Clearly that was not the case. So it just kind of is what it is. So I get one mic check just to confirm, and then I'll really start talking about stuff. So can I get a mic check? 1 2 1 2. How to update on the software? That's why I'm asking. 1 2. Just one mic check. Okay, cool, awesome. All right, I'm gonna hit this and give it a couple minutes. Let people stream in. Open mic for the next 5 minutes. So let's start talking about overall the market. As we've talked about, earnings typically bullish. You don't want to run up into earnings, as we talked about last week, as the financials led to absolute near-term bloodbath, and some of the financials got smoked cheddar, as we talked about. Well, now what, right? You go into the end of the week, you rally on, I guess you could technically just say holding support, coming up off the bottom. The real reason why the debt ceiling, a lot of people keep talking about that, but that can just always get kicked down the road. I don't think that's the thing. I think what's really going on is people are starting to, they're trying to, what would we talk about? Bullhorn, the feds are going to cut. Everything's going to get back to normal. This is great. And anyone who knows anything about the markets knows that when the feds start cutting rates, the market dumps, actually. Now, those rate cuts usually precede a bottom, right? Because now they're going accommodative, but the process of actually going from rate hikes to neutral to rate cut is usually a dump in the market. And why? It's because you're going into a full recession. They have to go and actually execute. And so the market puts pressure on them to do such. Well, now the market's kind of has the opposite. It looks like it has a buoying pressure of up and down near term. So we'll see what it does. It's hard to predict with certainty. And this is the thing. There's a lot of anomalies out there. I know a lot of people are looking to day trade and scalp, and that's great. If you happen to trade some of the weaker names in the market, congrats. As we say, the trash floats, right? The trash floats because it is just kind of what it is. Most people don't realize that the market makers know how to let the squeeze begin. They, keep in mind, they know where most of the shares are lying, and they can really, really play up some of those penny stocks and cheaper names, as you can expect. So I appreciate everybody's insights. I apologize not posting a ton today, but we talked about not shorting Friday, and I've said this 1,000 times. I love turnaround Tuesday post options expiration. The repeating tendency of the Tuesday post OPEX being the most important day of the week post OPEX, because it is typically a trend change or a pullback or a counter move into watch. So if you want to go long, well, you don't want to chase the pop, right? And if you're trying to short, you don't chase the lows. I hope that makes sense. So it just kind of is what it is at this point. And so a lot of people, I think, have in their minds intentions that trading is a game of just randomness, and it's not. We talk about it. That's the purpose of watching and studying and learning, because I think 99% of the traders that I witnessed and talked to, it's no different than your profession. You know it well. You've done it for years. Well, if you go into trading with a blind understanding of how the market actually really works, you're just glorified at guessing. That's what I like to say. So it just kind of is what it is. So at this point, letting people funnel in, no specific questions at the moment. I'm not surprised that gold rally back, dust flat, not really ideal day. So again, we put the odds in our favor. If you did short today, didn't really feel it. Was thinking probably end of day or Tuesday. Now again, I have enough positions where if it drops, I'm happy, and if it goes higher, really got to start questioning gravity, as in it holding down with the recession, because this is the hardest thing. The market climbs the wall of worry. Markets typically rise higher, and as we always talk about, shorting is more likely a trade, especially if the index is leading stocks, than an investment. Now, shorting trash names, I mean, it makes sense. They all find the toilet at some point and get flushed. Like, that's logical. But to trade actual names that are, I would say, the leaders and rotational leaders for the long term, they're going to only have so much limited downside. So beware again of tech, as we've said over and over and over. The tech war that follows the tech hype in stocks. Well, who wins? Who do you want to pick, the soldiers in the team, or do you want to pick the bullets? That's where we talk about commodities and inputs will ultimately be the biggest winner out of all this stuff. So if you're new to the channel, appreciate the follow. If you're been around, again, ask questions. This is where you guys, I'd love to answer the insights, because again, and it's a family thing. Like, trying to expect that you're always going to be right and always going to have these intentions of just never losing. It's no different. I kind of made the analogy today, like people who day trade and overtrade, you're playing 2-7 offsuit in poker and trying to beat 9 people at the table. Well, imagine you're trying to beat the market and you got mediocre understanding of the game. Like, you're playing bad cards, essentially. Like, it's just guaranteed you're going to have struggles. So at this point, you just have to play the market for what it is. If you have to stop out, you have to stop out, because we're at some interesting levels. There's some divergences. There's absolute anomalies abound. But remember, the market can act more irrational than you can say solvent. We've seen that in the past. Maybe you've experienced that. And something that makes no sense goes in a certain direction beyond which you can feasibly hold, and then it turns around. So that's all you really can do at a certain point, right? You just try to be thoughtful, try to be careful, and survive. Because every trade you get into with the mindset that you're not going to lose. The key is to survive and to leverage up with better trading. Because ultimately, a lot of people, I think that they're going to somehow get rich day trading. I laugh at that. Like, the biggest money is not from the day trading. It's from the big moves. And that's always the joke. Now, you can make a substantial nut or coin off of day trading, but you're not investing long-term big money structurally to invest and create wealth from day trading constantly. Because you're flipping coins. You're trying to beat the market at its own game. All right, I'm going to start recording. If you have any questions as we're talking about specific names, feel free to drop a comment. If you want to talk junk, don't really care. Makes me laugh. I appreciate it. All right, let's record this. This is Dan Max, eXp Realty, aka The Trade Night, and this is your daily market recap for January 1st, 2023. Hopefully you're surviving. Been a long day. Talked about the market volatility up and down. The VIX in the low 20s. We're assuming highs might be in, but could the VIX get lower? Questions you have to ask yourself. Remember, the trash floats last. Just keep all of these notes in mind, because I think a lot of people, the newer folks that I follow, and again, not follow, but the newer traders that you can see the sentiment is getting very excited about a new bull market. And could they be right temporarily? Yes, absolutely. So try to stay solvent. Try to be smart. Trade around your positions. Do not be all or nothing gamblers where you try to have to hit a home run. Because again, if you did not get in near the lows, or you're not shorting at the highs through layering processes, then you're essentially chasing. So again, appreciate everybody. Hope they like the new update of the Discord room. Might open it up at some point. I typically try to keep it pretty private, trying to help people who want to learn, not people who are just sitting here going, tell me the answer. How do you do that? What's the answer? I don't want to work. Feed me, Seymour. Feed me. Nah, I mean, the goal is you want to be a student in the game. If you really want to be excellent at trading, and it doesn't have to be anything, excellent at anything, you're going to have to spend more than 5 minutes and read one book and spend, minimal amounts of effort. Like, that's just not how it is. You want to be excellent at something, you got to go after it full blast. And that's what this room is for. Twitter, hit me up if you want to get in. Hit me on the message. Always posting what's going on, what I'm thinking, thoughts, processes, updates, especially for the people not in the Discord room. If you're newer as well, follow, like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. If you hit the notification bell, you will get the notifications of these videos. Do them, the lives, typically 2 or 3 a week. Check out the educational videos. I mean, a lot of people don't understand the repeating mechanisms of the market. And you can get into, I mean, there's 55, 56 of these things, and they all have an individual different purpose that might overlap potentially, but signals, what the market's doing, seasonality, repeating formations, things to look for. I mean, it's all there. So when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. All right, let's just jump into it. Bitcoin. Oh, you're not going to let me do it? Yeah, you are. Okay. We talked about this 21,000 level being a support resistance zone. That's cool. Got over it. Kind of hugging out here against what? High volume highs, high volume lows, love to retest because they're the points of control for the market makers, right? There's going to be a lot of what probably at these levels too? Dark pool money. It's very logical, right? So could you come back into 25,000? Yeah. Do we believe Bitcoin is in a bull market? Yeah, man, maybe. Potentially. I mean, again, we talk about lower lows and lower highs. Now it's bouncing. That's cool. A slightly lower high. But this isn't the first time you've seen higher highs off the lows to follow later. You got to trade it. People are going to say, well, I'm buying this for the next run to 175,000. Whatever. You pick a number out of your butt. Doesn't matter. Will it get there in a straight line? No. Good things change. Yeah. So just the easy money in Bitcoin was when the feds printed endless money and stimulated the economy. We're not there yet. Yet being the key word, I don't think we are there yet, anywhere close. So what's the upside? It's probably going to be capped at a certain price point. Your guess is good as mine. Potentially, I would say the mid 20,000s, or you got multiple day range of tightness. It's pretty simple. Go with. Remember, we love multi-day ranges, and this is the thing. It's almost comical because I talk to day traders and they're like looking at something. I'm like, what do you think the damn difference is between the day and the 10-minute and the 5-minute, whatever, hourly? It's all the same. It's repeating patterns, right? It's all repeating patterns. So at that point, let it run. All right, it's not gonna. All right, oil, cool. Oil, we've said, watch the levels. I mean, I personally think the Feds, we said this a bazillion times, when oil starts rising, the Feds' ideas of lower CPI and being able to actually manage the market, hard. It's really difficult, right? If oil starts rising, they can't stop raising rates. Here's like the green movement conundrum, right? You want green power, but do you want higher interest rates and higher power prices? Like, who can afford that? Clearly the rich. So that's why I look at it as a conundrum. And you can call it something else. I got to be PC here on YouTube. But yeah, we'll see what happens here in the low 80s. That's the next resistance zone. I personally think that, we're obviously going to have to refill the SPR. They bought February 80 contracts near term, obviously. It's getting sloppy and choppy. It's tough to know. I mean, I personally think if you get oil back into the mid 60s, we jump all over that. At this price point, you're going to have resistance. So just keep that in mind. I mean, at this point, I don't know. So I'm just at this, junction, just a little unsure because for it to really blast off, do we have, I don't know. What do we have a catalyst? Ukraine? Is that going to help get inflation down? Is that going to help the Feds do what? Scott, China demand? Yeah, we know. China's demand, they've got it. Keep in mind, Scott, they've got a plethora of Russian oil. So they're not sitting on shortages. So that's, again, it has to be something geopolitical in my opinion. So I would just be careful with that because everyone's saying this is the thing, and I'm not trying to call you out, but you're a fact that your insights typically come from what? Mass media, right? And I see the same things you're looking at, right? When I see them pumping Chinese demand coming back online, yeah, we get it. Wasn't the first? This is not like the first day we've heard that. So keep that in mind. Nat gas, you're welcome. right? This kind of is trying to bottom. I don't know. I mean, I struggle with natural gas because obviously the byproduct of oil. We know that. People talk about it. You got the LNG ports not reopening, so it's like they're burning it off potentially. Who knows what they're going to do to try to get the, you know what I mean, get the inventory down. Long story short, we've said that this price action is stretching, right? Stretching price action after a straight line move is going to usually lead to what? And then especially with commodities, what do we say? I mean, go watch the previous video. I said, wait for at least a 20 handle on the January contract. And here you go. That's when the last bounce was last year. I'm not surprised. Some sort of like choppy, sloppy action. It just is what it is. And so moving forward, I mean, you pick your poison here. If the market does slam, I could see people who are short natural gas unloading their positions to go elsewhere. And that's sometimes how you get short squeezes in certain names going into market drops. Because think about why. The people who are, you know, the historically short part of the market making system and or players will take their money from trash and move it into names that'll actually drop more as well. So if you're not familiar with this, you either trust it or you don't. That's just part of the game. Because think about it, the money's always rotating. We talk about this all the time. Money is not destroyed. It rotates. Everyone thinks, oh, the market's tanking. Everyone's losing money. No. Not everyone's losing money. It's just everyone who is perceived to be trading in the market is getting their ass kicked. Excuse my language. The dollar. Here, let's just talk about the anomalies where you have to be like a little bit of confused / careful. The dollar bottoming under the trend line at the 50% fib, right? You got really close to what I would consider like a swing area, a little mini volume at price node. At this point, I think people are shorting the dollar in response to what? What? Does anyone have a guess? Debt ceiling stuff. That's my anticipation. That's where this like a last little bit of exacerbation. Did I say? No, I didn't say. I said exacerbation. Keep that in mind. So I would watch it here. Could you get back a little lower? I mean, the Fed's next week talking. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Like chop is part of the market. The people that think straight line moves all the time are day traders. And day trading, straight line moves, you can kind of assume that, but you have to trade around it. Well, swing trading, layering into a position and putting a trade on as it creates a floor or a ceiling is much harder. That's where the big money is. People tell you, oh, it's day trade. I'm like, all right, you can't put all of your assets into something expecting instant gratification. That's called gambling. By definition, it's called gambling. And now again, when you gamble and you win, great. When you gamble and you lose, bad, right? It's simple stuff. But again, all very fundamental, easy stuff. TLT, we talked about it making lower high. Now it has a little mini gap down today. Long wick. Tough to tell. Will the market like higher rates? Well, the Feds are cutting. Well, is the market again, right? The Fed, the market, bond market, smart. TLT, inverse relationship to bond yields. TLT is going down. You gotta have a little bit of awareness that, okay, well, the softness priced in or inflation's coming back price in. Good question. You don't know. This is where probabilities and you have to take down the evidence. And most day traders can only see 1 minute, 5 minute candle. They can't think about the bigger perspective, the bigger moves. And so this is where you have to, write in your journal what you're seeing, what you should expect, because the market doesn't move independent of all the pieces. It's like a sum of all its part. The VIX, we talked about it wasn't going to sustain there. We talked about the bounce and then rally last week. Now what? Tight action. Here we're going, oh, the VIX is down and the market's ripping or barely down. Okay. That can be a sign as well. But I mean, personally, you got to look at the multi-day range now. You need to make higher highs and higher lows. Now, can we confirm higher lows? Yeah, I guess you can, but you're not making higher highs. So what does that lead, right? Leads you for more information. This is where, again, day trading versus swing trading, days. Trading around positions, right? Doing what the market makers do. They trade around their damn positions. They're not sitting around. Now, again, certain ones in the algorithms, the computers are taking advantage of such, scraping pennies, but that's not where the big money is. People just don't believe it. SPY. You want to talk about a fun close. Close right at the 0.618. decent little wick, not huge, but it got up to 402, whatever, 64. Yeah. I mean, I thought we might take a break here because I was like, man, that lines up with the gap and the trend line. Well, what do you have to think about, right? Traps. Market loves traps at the bottom. Oh, it's game over. Oh, it's game on. All right, well, is this another trap or is this some sort of lower high retest? I mean, do we have to get back to 413? Because I keep seeing people saying, well, the trend line broke, so the market has to go. Well, if you're newer to trading, that's what you believe. But we talk about trend lines all the time violating temporarily to what? Trigger traps. If you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, again, back to basics video. That's on you. I mean, people don't realize like trend lines, support resistance, volume at price zones, fibs, all these things potentially can be used as traps because the market makers know we're all sitting here going, okay, well, let's watch the market. Let's see. Oh, this is a level that matters. Right? Like, I mean, it's almost funny how naive some people are when it comes to stuff because they're just sitting there going, I must be the only one seeing this. Wrong. No, and that's not the truth. They know that. Remember, they can see your order flow. They can see what you're up to. Right? Especially when you put in limit orders. They know what you're holding. You're not protected. You're not wearing condoms. I'm just kidding. At this point, man, it's really tough to know right here. It's really tough to know. Do we need to go up? Maybe. Remember, we talked about this down here. Everyone was like, oh, the market's over. Like, the third touch was the charm, but then it'd be in the fourth, and then a fifth breakthrough, and then rally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is this the trap? Didn't take that. Doesn't that hard to zoom out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then boom. Okay? Do the math. Not even the math, but just notice that. Just notice that. This is not just random stuff. Market loves to play games. So now what? As we've said, watch what happens. Watch for Tuesday. Watch what happens going forward. If it goes higher and you're long, congratulations. Ride it dirty if you have to. If you are short, you hit your stop buttons, right? You hit your stops. And what? You don't chase. You just don't chase. Like, you don't go long chasing the highs. I mean, you can say this 1,000 times, but people won't listen. It is what it is. The Qs. What happened here? Well, what happened? Trend line. Uh-oh. I mean, hold on. Does this stretch? Does it make sense? Actually, it makes sense. Look at all the candles forming there. Some lines there. Some there. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it makes sense. So just watch this area. I mean, could it close at it and go higher? Again, the market loves to make you go insolvent before the market actually moves in the direction you think. Because, right, remember, they're priming the minds of the masses. Does this make sense? They're priming the masses to go what? Long and at the highs, short at the lows. That's what they do. That's what they do. And if you don't understand that, I don't know. Remember, trash floats last. Let me sip my little coffee here. Ad inserted. Thank you again for following and supporting. Again, this channel, the money's made to be in trading. It's not the advertising of this stuff, but a little dime here and there doesn't hurt. Just a little bit. You got the 200-day, you got the 50 fib at 294. That's probably the max upside. You'd love to see a lower high, but you'd also, if you saw a higher high, you'd like to look like this or this, right? This or that. Do I believe the next bull market's coming? People ask me that all the time, and it's like, I've said this, I think, for months now. This potentially could be like the 70s and 80s, maybe a year I've said this. It's just a choppy range, sloppy mess. As soon as everything looks good, boom, rates go higher. Feds aren't in control. Market pulls back. Things get weak. Feds, might do something different. Market rallies, gets excited. Boom, repeat, re-rinse, recycle, whatever. IWM. If you have any questions as we're going through this, don't be scared to ask. We talk about it lagging. Well, the QQQ's trash is leading. IWM hits your resistance zone. Watch for lagging. We'll see what happens here. We will see what happens. Now, a lot of people are going cup and handle. Okay. And now, again, if cup and handles were the key to all market moves, all willing, omnipotent moves, then you could say absolutely. But at this point, trade the levels. And again, if you're long, congrats. Like, there's no reason to chase longs here. The only thing that I'd be looking to do is take profits and look for shorts. And again, that down move could be a day, could be 2 days, 3 days. I don't know. I mean, just do you think the market's going to break out before the Fed speak? And I've telling you once, and I'll tell you this twice, and tell you every day going forward. The market rallying into earnings and into the Fed meeting creates a sell the news event potentially, right? Because now the market makers have the liquidity to unload into, while people start realizing things are not going to get better. DIA been lagging, dragging. Once it led for many times, many years. No, I'm just kidding. Well, it was leading in this early winter. Now it's lagging. Now, a lot of that can be to certain names. Yeah. Banks lagging. Be careful, right? Banks lead the market typically. When they don't, you can't really trust it. Remember, everything revolves around financials. Gold. If you are short this, another day, another dollar. I mean, you could have traded it when it hit the 8-day. Watch what happens. And then here's here's like a classic example of just everybody getting stupid excited at the highs, bringing in bulls, right? I mean, it's on a great move. And now the pump, I mean, the pump you up. I mean, I think it was Banff saying this too. I mean, I'm getting, you watch TV and you're just seeing like inflation hedge, buy gold, buy silver. The only time you ever see those commercials is at the highs. They don't show those when gold's at low prices, right? Because retail ain't going to buy it. Just something I've observed over the 20 years of trading gold, that anytime I see a ton of these stupid, like, advertisements. Sorry, I guess getting a call. Be careful, because they're pushing it, right? You don't advertise to buy, you advertise to sell. I say that all the time. That's why you think about the market makers in the news. They're not advertising this stuff to get you to buy for a big winner. No, they're trying to unload onto you. Silver, man, look at that. Gaps down, closes right back at the support. More information. Miners, on a day when the market seems so great. Dust, if you got it in the low 11s, just have your stops. Be 10 cuidado. GDXJ, again, junior should lead up. Junior. It's not really leading. Keep that in mind. At this point, I don't know. AG, a name that should be ripping and roaring, just makes lower lows and lower highs. What the beep? Doesn't make sense. AEM, chopping. Chop. There you go. Trying to make a new high. That's cool. I mean, technically, yes. Follow through, demanded if you want to believe in it. Newmont, trash monkey. 200-day chopping. I mean, remember, high volume highs, high volume lows, gaps, all that stuff. They love to retest. Here you go. Here's the old VAP chop zone bottom. You go from 37 up to 55 or whatever that piece of junk did. Is it going to chop and pull back? More than likely. PAAS. Here you go. 200-day channel high, trend high. One of the trends. Man, this thing had some ugly moves. And again, the trends, we talk about them. If you draw them with a ruler and expect them to be perfect, your high is a kite. It doesn't work like that. All right, let's jump into tech. Good old Techer gets tons of it. Again, you got to love the upgrades at the highs. Like nobody's upgrading AMD down here. We told you this buy signal was a professional gap and go. Well, now is it a novice gap? I mean, I guess we should probably stretch this box. I apologize. I'm trying to shift it because again, the evidence is shifting. To what? Come on now. Let me get it. There you go. I would watch this area, 75 to 78. 200-day will catch up pretty soon. Keep that in mind. Here's the problem I have with AMD is and again, if you're not familiar with AMD, AM Dizzle, it tends to top on big green days. Is this one, right? A novice gapo or is it professional? I mean, tech war, who wins? Ain't going to be the chip companies, right? They're like the frontline soldiers for chips, for tech war. There's a ton of what, right? It's going to be a ton of inventory. Now we say, oh, they're backed up. Blah, blah. If the economy's slowing, go study the past. Because I'm telling you right now, AMD has many cycles of double-digit, triple-digit, maybe not triple-digit, but double-digit stock back to $2. God forbid you do the homework and study and zoom out. Don't do it. Don't get that advantage, right? The market maker wants you stupid. NVIDIA. Here you go. We talked about this one. You could have shorted here, now bounce up. Now, again, when we talked about Friday, like closing at the highs, no me gusta. Now you get into the zone, auto zone. Now you're back at what, the 1-to-1. Just keep an eye on it. I mean, it's one of those things where climbs the wall of worry. I mean, this is pretty damn steep. Remember, this was a $100 stock at 190. How do you want to justify this? I don't care. Again, be like the market maker. You can make up any reason. Oh, it's up. Oh, look on sale, future PE, fundamentals. Okay, we'll see what happens. Taiwan semi, ouch. Ouch, 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 ouch. Comes right into the mid-90s. Doink. We'll see. I mean, again, do we expect this? No. And again, oh, but Dan, you were wrong. Yeah. Note to self. Put in your notes. Everybody's going to be wrong. Oh, but you were right. All these other... You're only as good as your last trade. Stop it. Don't believe your own hype, man. I'm telling you. Don't believe your own hype. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because if you do, you know what's going to happen, right? What's going to happen? You're going to get sloppy. You're going to take gambles. You're going to risk. You're going to start putting yourself ahead of what the market's doing. So we'll see what happens here. I personally, not very happy about today's action, but I had in my mind, if we ran up today, I have to be slightly patient in some of my positions. Now, again, taking some trades and being wrong, this is the hardest part, is like you get the 2-day trade on Taiwan semi. It hasn't been really working. So if you stopped out, congrats. If you're small, you shouldn't have been adding. That was the hardest thing, is like, all right, if the market's not really your shirt, then you don't add. I hope that makes sense. Like, you know, they say don't add to a loser. Well, you don't know it's a loser until you get in the trade, but what's the thing that you got to be aware of, right? It's not acting great. Don't short it, right? Like, I've got a decent gold position, but I am not by any means all in short. I mean, I'm eyeing the top, but it's not confirming. Like, it's not, you're not shorting a lower high. Like, that's the better trade, right? Remember, off the top, you get like these reverberations where off the bottom, off the top, you get higher lows, lower highs. Those are the best opportunities, because once they fail and everyone's going, oh, fudge, the trade's over. SMH, wow, we thought about this coming into play at some point. Did I believe it? I did not have convictions. Well, we'll see what happens now. You're pretty dang close. You have your Soxes from like the 26, 27 today. Not so good. Not so good. Trade around it. Stop out. Do whatever you got to do to sustain. Like, I don't want to... The hardest part is like laying friends to rest in trading. Burying them, saying they give up or they lost their confidence, or, you know, hanging out on the mentality of money board. And I mean, you can see there's folks who have trauma from losing. Trauma from this not working, that not working. I mean, that's part of trading. Let's run through the tech names. Adobes. Chopping. All right, popped up to the 200 day. It's going to fill the gap. It feels like it could be. Apple, we talked about intraday, a pivot point. Got it. We saw that. But the market didn't unload. Well, we'll see what happens here, because now you're trying to break the downtrends. This wick is half the candle body, so it's like 50-50 in my mind. Like, all right, are you going higher back to the 145s in the 100-day and the fibbies? I mean, let's redraw some fibs. Let's see what's up. If this is the bottom of the move, how high could it roll? Are we at some... Okay, yeah, and there you go. There's a 0.382. What up, playa? Keep an eye on that. That's all you really can say at this point. I mean, do you trust Apple for the long run? Oh, man. This is probably going to be the monster chop name. Again, buying back stock. I mean, they don't have a competitive advantage. Their prices of materials going up. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Amazon, we talked about buying this down here and then rallying. Pulls back. I guess, I don't know. Just be thoughtful. That's all I can really say. Be thoughtful. At this point, let your winners run. Set your stops, your trailing stops, but also don't be surprised. It's getting a lot of that Chat GPT server talk, which, again, I hate that kind of talk after the fact. Like, when it's early on, cool, ride it. But as soon as everybody's talking to it, you got to look around and go, wow, only idiots are still buying this. And then you go, oh, hold on, am I an idiot? Potentially, right? CRM got somebody, I can't remember what institution was, put a stake in on CRM. They bought this and it popped on the news. Pretty sure whoever was involved in this probably sold cover calls today on this gap. That's not ideal. You're not. Who knows what their numbers are going to be, but that looks tired. You don't want to break out and just get indecisive on decent volume. So we'll see what happens. More days needed. Guggenheim, we talked about the Hundo Plus level. My charts didn't save, you son of a biscuit. Yeah, let's see what happens here. I mean, I'm having second thoughts about shorting at times, but I'm also looking at it like, man, we're coming to some spots. I mean, it's not an easy trade. If you don't want to trade, don't. Wait for a better setup. Could we pop into this 103 zone? Yeah, no doubt. 200-day? No doubt. I mean, is it good that they're laying off people? The market considers such. Meta, oh, you son of a bitch. Another one. Try and short it in this upper 130s, low 140s. Could this thing run? I mean, it's trading at whatever, a cheap PE, but it's not a cheap stock when you look at the growth rates. And again, it's Meta. Like, they make money on marketing, yes. Are they going to grow? Nah, probably not. But I would look at it at this point, in my mind, the upside is kind of contingent upon trash floating. That's how I look at it, and potentially earnings. So, hey, we'll see what happens. Hey, give me 2 seconds. Someone's asking me something. Okay, yeah, I got a client who's man, we're trying to get this property for a steal. And they're trying to get quotes on things. They're asking me, what do you think of this and that? Yeah, get it. Housing steals, always. Passive income. That's where you get rich. Everyone's like, oh, you get rich trading? No, you don't. You make wealth, but sustainable wealth is making money when you're not working. You don't have to pull the trigger on anything. You don't have to watch these recaps. You sit home, eat Twinkies, and fart on the couch. That's how you make money with passive income. Microsoft earnings come in mañana, right? Mañana en la mañana, or mañana in the tarde. Or in the what's the evening? Why do I can't think? Anyway, Noche. We'll see what happens. Hit the 0.382, backed off. Remember this short, man. Missed that one. It's like, oh, comes back to the zone, bounces, making a slightly higher high again. I mean, I don't really see this following through until you get some sort of earnings results. NDAQ, okay. Whoever shorted this, cool. I love how this is lagging. We've talked about that. NDAQ is absolute dog crap long term because the volumes on the NASDAQ are going to die. Meme stocks dying, that got even thrown in the queues. The tech stocks, they're going to die. Remember, a commodity bull market is ultimately what's coming out of all of this. An incredible one. It's not going to be a one-year thing. It's going to be a multi-year bear market for tech, long for materials. MicroStrategy, again, we talked about, you could have bought it down here. High five to you. Throw your boy a tip because that was easy money. Now you're betting on what I would consider, you're squeezing. You're trying to squeeze that lemon or that orange or whatever for more juice. There could be some in there. Tighten it up. But let's see what happens here. I personally, again, it's just a company. So, Scott, why are you interrupting with rig, dude? No, we'll go to oil at the end. I mean, if you're pumping your stock, now I just almost want to pull the trigger and short it after hours. Because if you're getting excited about it and you're like pumping it, I mean, you're probably not the only one who feels that way. And I've just like anyone else. You see me too excited after a big move, you should be nervous. You should be nervous. If I'm like, oh, this is awesome, it's going to continue running. How many times have you had the freaking floor pulled out from under you, the rug, whatever? You feel like you're all of a sudden you just jumped out of a plane without a parachute. Like, that happens. That's what the market's really good at doing. Netflix tried to get some love on this in the 340 post earnings. I mean, their earnings were absolute dog crap. But again, stay solvent. Here you go. Old gap area, back test the trend line. Did we see it going this high? No. But we did see it going up to here. We were right about some things. Again, everyone's like, on a day you're not perfect, everyone thinks you're an idiot. That's the nature of the game. You put your plays out there every day for everyone, you're going to be criticized. We'll see what happens here. Because again, they're spending $200 per new subscriber. Okay, that's a good business model. Roblox, congrats again. If you bought it down here, we'd be high-fiving all the way to the bazank, and then it bounces, and it gets the news on its metrics. Pulls back, fills the gap, said you could play the gap. See what happens here. See what happens. Tesla, for the love of God, it hit it. It hit our upside target, trend line, whatever you want to talk about, in the 140s, fibbies. Can it go higher? I mean, we got Tesla on the docket too for earnings. Is that Wednesday after the close? Yeah. Miércoles. Yeah. This thing, again, if you go look at it, not surprised it bounced. I mean, it's funny how at the lows, everyone's freaking out, panicking. We're talking about buying it. It rises. Now you get to get the full move now. But, I mean, I'll take the 10, 15 points trading it. It continues higher. Cool. Remember, this is a retail name. What does that mean, Dan? It's probably going to be stuck for a while because everybody and their mom wants to buy it and still wants to buy it. I don't remember everyone just giving up. I mean, when did StockTwits go, it's over? Not once. X. Man, I got to move quicker. X. Chopping at the range highs. Again, materials getting a little tired up here. Oh, but China. All right, we'll see what happens. Nucor, same thing. Hitting up in the resistance. Ten cuidado. VALE. Names we've liked. Getting a little tired up here. Market's ripping. They're not. Copper. Arrow. Getting a little tired. Looks tired. Let's pull up Freeport McMoran real quick. I'd like to check these out. Chop, top, hop, whatever you want to say, getting stuck. Watch what happens here. You know, CCJ, congratulations. Close at the high of the day. Now, again, we talked about holding down here, bouncing, broke over. We'll go check StockTwits. Go check FinTwit. You're coming into the backside of the old trend line. Everybody's excited again. Uranium's the future. It's always been the future. Remember that. CF. Think this would be rallying. Remember, I have dirty intentions to get it back down in the 80. Again, love ag names. You're going to need to eat, son, in the next bull market. CF, Mosaic. Again, talked about taking profits. Praying for the low 40s. NTR. Again, these names, just dead money. Not full participation in the market. We'll see here. Chopping. That could be, I'm not a big fan of big green retests with dojis. That could lead to left-right combos with cheese. If you know where that's from, drop a comment. Alcoa. Again, we talk about the reason why you take profits or the profits get taken. They come out with guidance and talked about it hitting our resistance zone. God, you had 1 day. It almost looked like 1 hour. Brutal. Market is not friendly. It loves to screw you, me, and everyone else listening over all the time. It's rather infallible at this point. It's a joke. So at this point, we'll see what happens here. We'll see. Yeah, let me look at that because again, I appreciate you pulling that out. Neo, what did you say? The SPY. Again, I'll go to this because I know you're studying the past. December pattern, mid-December. Oh, yeah, the higher low pulls back, chop top into January. See, this is the thing we talk about, like post-OPEX turnaround Tuesday, right? Well, there was your Monday. There was your Tuesday. That was the kind of retest a little bit. It could be choppy. And this is the thing I worry about, right? Are we going to see that at the high? So I'm glad you reminded me to look at that. Could this be the top? Got to bounce. Take on, man. Take care, Eric. Appreciate you, brother. Materials. Let's go look at some. Let's dig deep, right? XBI. Man, what is going on with bios? Okay, well, they're not literally leading. They've been stuck in the chop terror zone. Told y'all, leave this alone. I mean, again, I think there's just, you don't have to rack your brain. Financials. We talked about them pulling back last week. Look what happens. Get back up near the highs. This looks broken, y'all. I'm telling you. You had your broadening pattern. Now you have a lower high. Goldman Sachs. I mean, some of these names just look really bad. And again, if you go and talk to any banker, and they're worried for their jobs. They are absolutely worried for their jobs. Here's Morgan Stanley hits the top, backs off, making a lower high, question mark. JP Morgan. We talked about this one bouncing when it referenced the 50-day. What did it do? 2-day range on the 50-day. Rallies back. That ain't near the highs, right? What else do you want to look at, huh? Goldman? Yeah, duh. Now, we talked about this holding down in the 340s potentially because it was support. That's not looking good. That looks very distributive. We'll see what happens here in a little bit. So, financials, not so hot. Not so hot right now. Solar. Thank God took some profits on this. Comes right back, making a lower high maybe. I don't know. ENPH, I still think this thing is busted dog crap, right? I really think this thing is busted dog crap at this point. So at this point, good luck. It's like, all right, it makes you feel better about everything. Sedge, now we talked about this one's acting a little better. See what happens. You're getting back into the zone. I'm not going to say it, auto zone. There you go. First Solar, thank God you took some profits. I know didn't hit 161 to a T. But now here you go. I posted this in today. I'm like, man, that's a fun little back test of the trend line. Maybe fill this gap. Again, this is why I just stress people, shorting, long, whatever. In a trader's bear market, and a bear market is a trader's market. If you don't know that, well, congratulations. You just learned something today. It's a trader's market. Some things will go high, some will go low, some things will lead, some will lag. The market will chop. The perma straight line moves are not what? Until the end of the move. It feels very end of the move-ish, right? End of the move-ish. Like, think about the rubber band man theory. Pull, stretch, doesn't pull back much. Pull, stretch, pull, stretch, pull. Oh, sorry, stretch, pull. I think I messed that up. Whatever. Stretch and pull. It's not going to have much upside. That's how I look at it. GNS. This is hilarious. What's his name? Imagination. Talking about this. I was like, if you looked at the 10-minute, it got smoked in the range, and then all of a sudden it went flapping higher. 2-day range. Ha! Congrats. Again, I usually don't talk about penny stocks, but again, being in the the magic of money, mentality of money room, someone talked about that. Congratulations. Yeah, imagery. Congratulations. Again, I don't hold grudges. I don't get pissed. I was like, I think this is crap, but it was crap for like an hour, and then it went banger. As soon as I literally stopped watching it. Maybe I was the bad luck for you, bud. We'll see. Congrats. That's interesting because that wick, that wick is special ed. I mean, this is your classic pump and dumper. But remember, the velocity of the higher up move usually translates into the house of pain. USO. Okay, yeah. Well, give me a second. We'll get into that. Oil. Tightening up. We'll see what happens here. China's reopening. No crap. That's been like, everyone knew that for months. We actually called that. If anyone remembers, can I get a thumbs up? Anyone remember? We talked about that almost in December. Like, these guys are not going to sustain their COVID policy. UNG. It's trying. I hope to God for some folks. Again, I've talked about it. Sometimes when the market, the trash floats last, but also, too, something that's been short for a long period of time before a market crests will get unwound. Because what? Is the value in shorting natural gas or shorting maybe you pick your favorite stock? That becomes like the ultimate question here. And that's how the market thinks sometimes too. Like if I had a huge short in UNG, I'm like, there's probably not much left on the bone. Why don't I go short something fat and sloppy and ready to get smoked cheddar? XOP, remember we talked about buying it down here, taking profits. Man, it trying to make a higher high. Here comes the next box. If I can draw today. Come on. Yeah. Come on, connect that bottom. Yep. Getting close enough for government work. We'll see what happens. Now again, I know my man Scott wants to look at rigs, so I'll get to it. I'll get to that. Remember, I traded this thing for years and it was crap. Well, hey, look at that, apples. Nice. Tons of debt, but breaking out. Oh, gosh, man, it's crazy. Like, I think, yeah. I was going to say, what happened? It's like I used to have this chart really drawn up. I don't have anything on it because it's in this freaking penny land. Close enough. I mean, see what happens. Because if it breaks over that, it could have a little bit of pump. And, when we think of like pump, the problem is I think you're going to have some resistance up into the 7s. And now, remember, this is a bit of a straight line move. If I owned this stock, I'd probably sell covered calls. I would probably sell covered calls on this. I don't know if I would just continue to ride this. That is, I mean, again, but trade around your position. I mean, remember, the straight line moves is when this thing gets what? Pulls back. Zing pow. Zing pow. Zinger pow pow. Right? Zing pow, zing pow. That was a zinger pow. Did you see my point? Like, the bigger the straight line move, the more, more likely it's going to pull back. So You haven't had a break in this thing, right? It's gone from like 4 to 6.5. Well, I mean, God forbidding it goes to 100 for you, but likely probably has a pullback before it goes. That's good luck, go. Congrats on that trade. Never a hater. Can be happy for others. Not a greedy person. ExxonMobil hits the range highs. Interesting. I always thought we might be able to get to the monthly trend line. It's right there. Keep that in mind. PX Dizzle. Gonna end the recording soon. We'll have live chat afterwards. Getting stuck up here. Oxy. Snorting Oxy. No, just kidding. That's real tough because here's all these wicks. You look like you're going. And come right back. Talk about Buffett controlled. Maybe he's just like, I'm selling calls, you assholes. Let's end it on EQT. Chopping. All right. Don't really have much to say at this. I appreciate everybody. I know this is hard. If you're getting frustrated, what do you do? What do you do, right? At this point, what? Just be thoughtful. Don't assume anything, okay? I will stop the recording. And any questions? Any questions? Any questions? If not, I'll let it go. I got people texting me, hitting me up, trying to figure out what is going on. What is going on? What is going on? Hence bringing in the Pata. Oh, thanks, Queen. I appreciate it. And again, this trading stuff, again, the people who want to gamble, I always tell people, like, if your mentality is to gamble in trading, and you don't think of this like a professional poker player, professional gambler, whatever, professional anything where the risk is on the line and someone's taking your bets trying to take your money, then you're not really, again, you're always putting yourself in a position to over leverage or take on greater risk than you should. And when you take on great risk, yeah, there's great reward, but there's also great loss. So if your goal is to actually sustain and grow your accounts, take money out, pay yourself, run this like a business versus try to gamble and grow up the biggest account to lose it later. Because again, people who know me know, yeah, I've had great success in the years past where all of a sudden I'm 100x an account, and then what do? You're still gambling. Like, that works as good as a gun, and no one takes any money out. And that's where I've always tried to preach now. Like, even in the learning process, even now, like, to me, paying myself is more important than what the market, like the short-term results. And then day trading, where you can get really caught up on trying to be right now, that's where you're chewed up. That's where you get chewed up. And so it's great when you're winning. But don't be surprised at some point when the market, especially for day trading stuff, ultimately does what? It kind of changes, right? The tendencies are changing. There's nothing permanent. Like the market, that's why I always laugh, like, I built my own algorithm. You know? Oh, I built my own algorithm. Great. And it worked for a week, a month, maybe even a year, maybe even a bull market. We don't know. So, yeah, I mean, I like day trading the SPY. See, now this is the thing. Good comment. Day trading the SPY is different than day trading like random ass stocks. Like, I mean, you can apply certain principles to particular stocks, but the SPY, the Qs, very liquid stocks, like those things are much easier to predict. Now, again, you're probably not going to get rich, but you can definitely 3, 4, 5, 10x your options in those names with lotteries, like out of the money stuff at the right times with the right movements. But then again lies the problem. Out of the money is going to do what? More than likely go to poof, kapow. So you can trade it with what? The potential of, all right, you're risking, it's like risking, you got to eat your dinner, but here's your cookies. Like, you want to take a little on the risk on the out of the money calls, go right ahead. Right? That's you can't get rich off or you can't be healthy and live a long life on cookies. You got to do it on the easy, sustained, repeatable trading patterns. And I'm telling you, folks, and I've said this for years, and people start to wake up at some point when they just get tired of winning and losing and winning and losing and never being really ahead, is what? again, do you want to put $1 million into random names where you can lose, or do you want to start gambling effectively and take money out? Like, that's the ultimate goal, right? Do you want to own stuff and not sleep well over the night? Do you want to own stuff where at some point, yes, you can make 50% in 3 hours, day trade it. But if you hold it overnight, you're not guaranteed the tomorrow at all. You're not guaranteed shit. That's always the biggest worry for me with people who day trade. They get addicted to the action. And then at some point they have to wean themselves off of the action because they realize, wow, with great upside comes great downside, right? There becomes greater risk, greater reward, greater loss. And so that's where the market eventually knows, like, you will go on tilt trying to make back what you made at one point. It happened to me. I've told you all this. Turn nothing into multi-seven figures to blow that out to a certain percent. And it wasn't like all of a sudden, I thought I was smart, but the market changed, right? You start really getting smart and thinking you're knowing something for a fact. That's all it takes. I mean, we talk about our winning percentage is 80, 85, 90%. Well, what do you do when you're wrong? That becomes the ultimate success barometer. Well, day traders got to be in and out. Okay, works. Again, you trade penny stocks, pump and dumps, your favorite trash, go right ahead. Meme stocks, cool. When they work, they work. But your sustained trading lifestyle is not going to come from gambling on big moves from trash. Because I guarantee at some point you're going to get caught in the backdraft. You're going to say, well, I started with 50 grand. I made it to 500 grand. I made it to, you X to A to B. And then all of a sudden you're back below where you started, or right where you started, because the names that you were trading inherently had way too much volatility and were not sustainable to always win. That's what people don't understand, is that there's not this game of, okay, I can, it's been red 14 times in a row, black is next. No, it's all random every time. You're only as good as your last trade and what's potentially coming. That becomes the biggest problem with traders. And I say this all the time is because, I talk about it because it's an experience. That's like 90% of why I do this, because I'm like, just don't lose money. Don't be an idiot. And you go look at 90% of FinTwit, stock twits, twits, everyone's just gambling. Well, why do you think the success rate in trading is 5%? And half of those 5% just break even. So that's why they're like, don't even trade. Why do you think most financial advisors coming from that world will say, you can't time the market? Can't time the market, Dan. No, you kind of can, but you also have to be vigilant in your discipline. Like, you're going to be wrong. Well, you take on inherently risky names, trade them accordingly. Not everything is a Bitcoin or that GNS today. That was wild. Again, I stopped watching that at a certain point. But the trash floats today, and so everybody getting paid, right? As we talk about, like, the market loves to fatten up the pigs for the slaughter, right? Who do you think real institutional big sustaining buyers are coming in and buying meme stocks? I always tell this to people. I'm kind of laugh at it. Yeah, I wouldn't sleep well owning GameStop either. Do you think big sustainable long-term fund flows are coming into meme stocks and trash? No, it's all trading vehicles. It's like going to the candy store. They're all different types of candy. They're not really good for you. It's like, do you want your M&Ms or your Mars bars? Ugh, gross. Your candy corns? Bleh. You want your lollipops? It's all good. You're not going to get rich off of it, potentially sustained, right? Like, it's not good for your health. And people say, like, what do you mean it's not good for your health? Okay, you're now increasing dopamine. You're putting a ton of chemicals running through your body because you're on a high and a low from trading. Now you're addicted to the highs and the lows. Now you're acting in response to get to highs and lows. It's no different than it's a drug. It's gambling. And nobody sees it until what? They're on top and they ignore it and they don't realize it, or they get somewhere and they give it all back, or they just don't make anything. They're just like totally like confused constantly. Because if you're getting high and low on trading, people are like, oh, I have fun gambling in the market. No, I have fun buying real estate. I have fun outside of trading. Trading's work. I love it as a job. But it's not like, I don't like it, like fun like that. It's like sitting around and grinding out poker or playing at a casino. Like, okay, it's a work. You're not guaranteed to win. You got to sit there and grind through it. And you got to be mentally strong. Start drinking drinks, getting high, smoking weed, whatever. Not going to probably do well at any of these games. Well, what's the difference? You don't realize that your own physiology starts changing the more you start gambling. I like to gamble. Okay, well, good luck. I can guarantee if you don't pull money out of the market and you have zero exit strategy, you will end up exactly where you started or worse. It's like the house always wins. You go down to a blackjack table and you bet $10 every time, no matter what happens, no matter what the card count is, no matter whether you're up or down, they're guaranteed the money will transfer into their pockets because they have a statistical edge. It's no different in trading. Does this make sense? Because I can let it go after that, or if someone has any more questions. Like, it's really that simple. So as soon as you start getting excited, you need to be conscious. Like, okay, is that real? Or is that me getting like excited because of the trade and it's like addictive and I want to win? Because again, if you want to win, and Eric too bad's not here, the hard thing is usually the right thing. It's when you're up a lot taking profits. It's when you see RIG go up 30% off the lows in a straight line. Nobody wants to take profits in RIG, right? They just want to see it go to 10, 12, 15, 20, 30, 45, 100. Whatever number, just make it up at this point. No. And again, you can talk about this very clearly because, again, the GNS, I'll give Imaginary Trader, whatever his name, I think that is his name. Imaginary? Yeah, Imaginary. Okay. I mean, that's a great trade for the intraday, right? Like, it's amazing. But if you didn't take any profits at 6 after a move from Pennyland and you're not concerned this is a pump and dump, I mean, again, I'd love to read all the different message boards and talking about from StockTwits to even Discord, all this, like seeing everyone pump this name. And I think somebody asked when it was around 6, like, hey, should I, is it a buy and hold now? I don't know. So, yeah, anyway, just please be thoughtful. If you think if you feel your emotions and the physiology, like you can't sleep, you're not hungry, your heart rate's high, you feel on edge, you feel excited, like everything's great in the world, you can't lose. I'm telling you right now, your own emotions, your own indicator. That's what we talked about when the market dumped last week. Please take some profits. It seems too easy. We talked about a rally. Okay? You got to get back in. Now, again, being in early, trying to layer back in, if you got slapped around just like I did, it happens. Hopefully you didn't go all in short after you made those gains. Because that would be like giving it back completely. So at this point, just know the upside, know the traps. Could Microsoft lead to a dump? Potentially. Could ABC come out of nowhere? Potentially. Remember, I said this all the way back in December when this started, this kind of move. And everyone was like, oh, the world's going to end. I'm like, man, you could be in a choppy, sloppy mess and just go from point A range to point B range and play this game where you literally, people don't even remember this, but I'll tell you this. IWM. Oh, I've been trading a year. I know how this works. All right, you're naive as shit. The IWM from 2021 basically to the end of 2021. Look at this. Just goes nowhere. Goes nowhere. What's your favorite stock or your Bitcoin? Your boy Bitcoin goes nowhere. That's part of trading. It just looks like a big trading range. Now, at some point, does the market have the capacity to break out and start a bull market? I am 50-50 on that. I don't think you're going to see it in January. I don't think you're not going to see a bottom in the market until what? Typically end of quarters, March, June, September, sometimes October, December. Seasonality-wise, again, this could be a game. This could be an absolute game of frustration, and it's going to get to you if you aren't aware of it. So if you're expecting end of the world, okay, that you can play that. But if you're also expecting the moon, you probably shouldn't expect that either. Good, yeah. No, you had to have taken profits last week. We talked about unless something changed dramatically, meaning something out of the blue pulled the market down. That was like a new factoid. It seemed very likely the market could have a chop suey, yeah. So now that we're at the trend line, we have a multi-day range. Now again, because I've said this, and this is the probably the biggest thing is keep in the back of your mind. The Feds are watching the market. They know, okay, well, if we have to, now the market is pre-paving its way to absorb bad news better, right? Because if the market's at the lows and the Feds are speaking, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to be super careful to not tank the market. Well, if it's upper range, upper bounds acting better, now these fat mouth Fed speakers will probably say how they really feel. All right, I'm going to let y'all roll. I appreciate everything. Be safe out there. Be thoughtful. Appreciate the love, support, donations, all that stuff. And if you're ever concerned, hit me up. I mean, that's all you really can do, right? All you can do. Hit me up. I don't mind. I'll try to answer your questions, try to do the best. But ultimately, you have to be the student. You got to be the student. I can't hit the buttons for you. You don't want me to. You don't want anyone hitting the buttons. You want to know with confidence, with your plan and stops, that when you hit the button, you know what you're going to do. You know the worst case scenario. You know your max loss. If you don't know those things, you're gambling. And I can guarantee at some point, when you're not lucky or when things are different, you're going to get smacked really hard. And it's going to kill your confidence. All right. Talk to y'all later. Peace.